Karl Konrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News, proudly brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services here in Sydney. And we have hit the 50,000 subscriber mark in record time. Well, it's a record for us anyway. We appreciate every single one of you who has supported this channel. 100k, here we come. And tonight we talk about the Northern Territory opening up to offshore applicants, the points required by Western Australia for sponsorship, will Australia ban Russian tourists, foreign workers need to be trained by Australians overseas, and how New South Wales locks out international graduates and more. Northern Territory has opened up its sponsorship requirements to offshore applicants. According to Northern Territory, offshore applicants will generally only be nominated for subclass 491 visa and need to meet the following minimum requirements. In general, you'll need to have post-qualification work experience of at least 3 years in your nominated occupation in the last 10 years and meet one of the following streams. 1. Priority Occupation Stream, 2. Northern Territory Family Stream, and 3. Northern Territory Job Offer Stream. We'll leave a link in the description below to find this Northern Territory requirement to read in detail. Western Australia offered a whopping 1,500 places in the September invitation rounds for its state sponsorship program for the 190 and 491 visas. They also released an information sheet outlining what pass marks were indicative to gain an invitation. You can see outlined here that most of the occupations on the Western Australia Skilled Migration Occupation List requires 90 points and above to gain an invitation, except of course for a number of nurses and doctors. For those of you who are graduates of Western Australia, the news was a little better, with many occupations requiring only 85 points and above. However, the frustrating component of Western Australia's version of transparency is the lack of information telling us if these selected pass marks were for the 190 visa or the 491 visa. Come on WA, you can do better than this. The Financial Review covered the story of how the New South Wales government is locking out international graduates from the state sponsorship visa program. Of course, not all graduates, but actually most of them. Despite the pressures and the questions, the New South Wales government seems determined to choose only those occupations they want the most and just to discard the rest. To keep just a pretense that there is some hope for the rest, many occupations remain on the list but at a ridiculously high pass mark. When the states start crying about skill shortages again, don't say we didn't try to warn you. We have spoken to a number of Russian citizens this week looking for a way to migrate here, and can you blame them? The brain drain and money drain from Russia is happening at an unprecedented scale, and of course many would like to come to Australia to escape. However, with many European countries no longer willing to take Russian tourists, it was inevitable that Australia was going to face the same issue about deciding what to do. The Deputy PM had this to say on the ABC Insiders program last Sunday.
Will Australia ban Russian tourists from entering the country?
We have a range of sanctions in place, and the focus of our sanctions is on the Russian government, those who are perpetrating what has happened in relation to Ukraine. It's not focused on the Russian people themselves. So this is not something that we are considering at the moment, but we are very much a part of the global base of sanctions against the Russian regime.
Well, it seems for now that they can still come, and let us hope that things do not get out of hand in the future, so indeed they can keep coming. The famous Green family is still waiting for the minister to make a decision on their plight. The Australian newspaper ran a follow-up article of the Green family waiting patiently to know their fate. In the article it states, however, the 4-week time frame within which Mr. Giles is expected to make a decision elapsed 2 weeks ago. The only problem seems to be is that their lawyer didn't tell them that there are hundreds of people waiting for years for a decision by the minister to consider their circumstances. While I support the Greens' right to have a minister consider their case on its merits, and I hope he does let them stay, just because they have attracted the media spotlight should not allow them to jump the queue. We have one client waiting for more than 2 years before the minister for her family's consideration, and she has an Australian citizen son as well. First thing is first, Minister, attend to your backlog in the queued order before you get to the Greens. In an effort to convince Australia that the government is doing something about this skills shortages, the idea was floated by the Minister for Skills and Training, Brendan O'Connor, that Australia could help train workers overseas. In doing so, they could gain Australian qualifications and then come and save us in battling the skills shortages. Here's what Sky News reported in the media this week.
Foreign workers could obtain Australian qualifications from their own countries in an attempt to improve skills shortages and diplomacy. Indonesia and India have been earmarked as a priority by Skills Minister Brendan O'Connor. Under the scheme, workers could graduate in qualifications including trades, retail, technology and administration. Mr O'Connor says this could allow workers to be fast-tracked into Australia and given temporary or permanent visas.
Well, of course, the obvious occurred next, with many comments that we should be training Australians first for these roles. And why would we even consider this anyway? Surely it must be better for the economy to bring international students here and spend the money on the courses here and then give them a pathway to permanent residency after they have helped save us. Hopefully the penny will drop soon. The Immigration Department is considering abandoning the holding of refugees in detention and letting them out into the community instead. The Guardian newspaper ran a story on the Immigration Minister's plan to allow people who have been judged a low risk to the community released from detention. The Immigration Minister Andrew Giles told the Guardian Australia that the government is committed to ensuring humane and risk-based immigration detention policies. Sounds like a policy that indeed is well overdue. Josh has made a good one, pointing out how those who get the longer 485 visas because their skills are in shortage will actually be the ones who get picked up for state sponsorship earlier than everyone else. So then why waste the extended visa versions on them? An excellent point. Gemma pointed out that no mention of extensions of the 485 visas for trade workers, many of which are even in higher demand. Another great point. Thanks guys for those comments and supporting this channel. Whilst it has been all quiet on the legislation side of Australian immigration law lately, we expect quite a few changes in the coming months. Maybe even too many to cover. But of course, we will manage no matter what and how much work it is, and we will bring you these updates and summaries. That wraps it up for another week, so thank you for watching. Stay tuned for next week's edition. And as always, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.